Okay, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. That was Google yet again. I'm going to have to turn the Google Assistant off because it interferes with my podcasting every single time. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Coffee and Good Conversation. So I'm not playing any videos, I'm not playing any music. I'm just going to sit here and wait for somebody to come in and then have a conversation with them. That's about as simple as the format gets. But I've played enough videos. I like playing videos and I like playing music, but it's time I actually met a few people on here. So I'm quite happy just to sit here. I'll ramble on for a little while, and then if it goes quiet, it goes quiet. But I'm going to sit here for an hour or pretty close to an hour and just wait and see who comes in and what happens. And I can always edit it down if I want to post it. If nobody comes in, then I'll just not post anything. Very simple format. I've had my coffee. I went to the vegetarian restaurant that I like. It's a cafe really, but cafe/restaurant on Granger Street. And I've sat in there for an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter, hour and a half possibly with a coffee. And the way I like to do it, just with a pen and a pad, and just making notes, which I could do at home, but it's as interesting to do it in a cafe. And the fact that there's people around makes it more interesting to me because I can people watch a little bit as well. So I'm not just inside my head. I've got an environment that's stimulating me a little bit. But I made some good notes. Partly, hello, John. Welcome to Coffee and Good Conversation. If you feel like calling in, you're very welcome. No obligation, though. I'm just chattering on to myself ultimately. But if you want to participate, you're welcome either in text or by calling in. And Freedom Warrior, welcome to the show without a format. So it's really just a chattering show. All right, if you want to call in, you're welcome. I've just opened up again, so you're welcome to have a chat if you want to, either in text or call in. The plan is to keep this open for about an hour. I've got a meeting on Zoom in about an hour, but I'm quite happy just to keep this open and either talk to myself or have a conversation with you guys. It's up to you. You've got a day where you're free today, I think, Freedom Warrior, haven't you? I remember you saying you had a day off. It's a good thing. You need it. You need to recharge a little bit. I need to recharge, and I'm not even working. I need a day off for the podcast now and again, and a day off for playing videos. So this is my day off from playing heavy duty vaccine and virus videos. I'm not going there today. I'm not going there at all today. Too much medical information. It's just filling my head full of multi-syllable Latin words that don't need to be there. So this is literally just me talking about nonsense, really. You're welcome to make it a topic, or we can just have a conversation and say hello. Okay, ma'am. I'm on my phone, so it might take me a second to answer it, but
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, man? This has taken a while to happen, but we get there in the end.
Yeah. I've been trying and sending messages to see, and then just at the moment when I thought, oh, it's not happening, I was walking outside listening, and then, oh, he's on. And then it was already too late.
Yeah, I did something earlier on, but I've started to repeat the videos that I'm playing, so I thought I'll give that a break for a while because I'm subconsciously going to the same sources. So I keep playing Brett
Yeah.
Weinstein and Dark Horse podcasts, but you can't repeat it too many times. I've got to find another source of good material.
Yeah, they are good. They have a good show, but yeah, it's good to have different ones, indeed, different sources, because but they are also very long podcasts they do. I think about an hour or longer even.
They do 3 hours altogether if you include the Q&A.
Phew, yeah, I don't have the patience anymore to listen that long. I mean, there's so much info. I just have to take bits and pieces from what I know, and if I really have the time. So I was watching this documentary again, "Communism by the Back Door" from Dennis Wise, which is also like 6 hours.
Right. Okay. So I'll wake up early. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So there's 3 hours before I actually do anything. So I've got time then to listen to the High Wire or Dark Horse podcast or whatever while my water's heating up for my bath.
Sounds like like an apartment from the 50s or something.
Well, it's like electric immersion heater in a tank. So it was built in the 80s, this place, but you would think it's designed for people who don't make noise, and unfortunately everybody makes noise in here.
Yeah.
So I've got an ongoing saga with the neighbours.
Yeah, you gotta be a
So
bit lucky. I live right in the center of Amsterdam, also in an old building, and it's also noisy, but my neighbors are all very quiet. So really, I never have much trouble with them.
right, I've got a Chinese karaoke downstairs and a screaming psychopath next door. So I've not really
Yeah,
hit the best of, but I can move. The woman who signed me up for the flat said to me specifically, "You can move in 12 months." So she must have known when she signed me up that the neighbours were neighbours from hell.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they don't tell you that because they just want to make money. Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's a large housing association, so I think they make £1,000 per flat every year, per rental every year. So that they don't care, do they? They don't take any notice of noise complaints. I've tried that.
hmm
So I reported the karaoke to the police on Friday night because they set up again, and it's turned into 3 nights a week, and I can't do it because I'm not sleeping properly.
yeah, that's horrible. And is the police doing anything? Because at my brother's place, there's also some students living upstairs, and they are also sometimes too noisy. And one of the neighbors, he sent the police now twice, and they came and they said if it happens again, we take all your equipment. But I'm not sure if they're allowed to do that. But
Well, the rule here is you can be noisy till 11 o'clock during the week, but then you have to calm it down. But they've been going till midnight, and I'm not working, but 10 o'clock till midnight's the time where I'll be going to sleep. So if I miss
yeah,
that time, I'm awake all night. So it's no
yeah,
good for
that's
my sleeping pattern at
horrible.
all.
But who plays 3 nights karaoke? Maybe they are making some money on it or something. What's going on there?
No, they're not. The Friday night they had about 8 or 9 people in the flat downstairs, but it was family. I think there was a couple of like 2-year-old kids in there. They were screaming all night, and then the karaoke started about 10:15. So it was just, but I think it was just a family gathering. I think they do it a couple of times a month for like one of them's for the full moon. Definitely, that's a cycle. But
Hmm.
it turned into 3 days a week, and I went ape shit. I was screaming at them through the window. So that,
Yeah,
obviously
that's
that's not a sustainable way of doing things. But in the end, I've had to report them. I've had no choice because if they keep doing that and I keep getting no sleep, I'll end up like psychologically damaged by the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I had a period where I had little sleep, and it's really horrible. I mean, I managed to get through it by taking cold showers and those kind of things. But if it goes on for a long time, it's hard to live with.
Yeah, I mean, I was not sleeping properly for most of the last winter, but it was partly because I'm not working. If I was working, I'd be getting up. My alarm's set for the same time as if I was going to work, 6 o'clock in the morning. But I'm not working, so I've got nothing happening all day. I have to make this the thing that I do.
Well, that's
Just,
good. I was
just
happy actually. I was also 6 months out of work. I loved it, but the problem was the money. It
yeah.
started to disappear.
Well, yeah, I've run out now, so pretty much. Well, I'm on welfare benefits, but I'm relying on the soup. There's a soup kitchen around the corner, which is like a community place. They do when they were open properly. They do film days, and they do like music events sometimes. So it's a little community centre. Really, it's not just a soup kitchen.
Hmm.
But at the moment they're giving food out from the door, so there's no social things happening up there. So if you've got no money, at least you've got a little bit of a social life, and you can get a coffee or whatever.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, I live here downtown, so there's always a lot of things happening. But still, if you have no money, yeah, it's the center. Everything evolves around money.
Yeah,
So
exactly, man. It's a strange thing. My relationship with money is a bit up and down, to say the least. It changes like the wind. My relationship with money. At the moment, I'm doing all right. Even though I don't really have very much, I manage it. But I manage it
hmm.
because I'm delaying paying the bills, so that gets me a social life of sorts. But I have to catch up next month or whatever. So I'll end up with no social life at all next month. But at least I've got one this month.
Yeah, that's horrible. But there is other ways. I've been discussing many times with a friend, and he's very much he doesn't like the system, and he's always looking for other ways. And he always says, "But it's ridiculous that we still have to, you know, think about working hard our whole lives just to get alive. You know, there's plenty of people, there's plenty of ways to get money. It doesn't always have to be that you have to work 30 years hard to finally have a life. There must be different ways through internet, through Bitcoin, all these kind of things. There must be different ways to gather some wealth instead of having to work your whole life like a dog."
In theory, there's a business model on Podbean, but whether it actually works or not, I don't know. Because I've set up a couple of premium podcasts, but I've changed the pricing, so I'm testing it. I don't know whether it'll work or not. But if I end up getting half a dozen subscribers a week or half a dozen subscribers a month, it'll buy me a couple of cups of coffee and pay for my broadband access. But that's about all it'll do. But at
Yeah,
least
yeah.
it's
At the
covering
beginning,
something. So it becomes a self-sustaining thing. Eventually, it'll become a self-sustaining thing.
yeah, I think so. And also, it's important. I learned the last weeks that to keep your mind in the right place. Also, to if you really believe in it and you have really not much expectation, but you believe in it and you kind of use your mental stimulation, imagination. It also helps. You you attract
Absolutely.
the things you need.
Yeah, it's keeping me sane apart from anything else. So if I can get a few cups of coffee and pay for my broadband, that's more or less what I need. Plus, obviously, I need to be able to upgrade the phone because I use the phone mostly for this. So if it pays for that as well, that's that bit of my life taken care of, and I can concentrate on paying the bills with other things.
Yeah, but still a very uncomfortable situation. Apart from the freedom that you have, but without much money and bills having to pay and that stress, that is very unhealthy.
I'm kind of used to it now, but it used to stress me out. Now it doesn't stress me out at all because I know I can get fed from the soup kitchen. So if
Hmm.
and when normally I've got about 10 days where I've got money, and then 20 days where I don't. I mean, literally where I have nothing. But I know I can get fed from the soup kitchen, and I can get a cup of coffee or whatever if I need it. If I There's another place that'll do me a free cup of coffee because they've got a pay it forward box. So
Hmm.
somebody's already put in to buy somebody who can't afford it a cup of coffee in there. So they'll always give me a cup of coffee in there if I need somewhere to be, and I need to just get out of the flat and sort my head out a little bit. So there's a couple of places where you can kind of be without money, which is a great help.
Yeah,
It
it
takes the
reminds me
pressure
a
off.
bit of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's all right. It's just that's the survival bit taken care of is the food. It's food and shelter. They're the survival part. So they're taken care of. And then the rest of it is just building up a little bit of quality of life.
Yeah, yeah. If you stick in it too long, of course you'll find your way to manage, but it's very hard to get out of it, and it would be good to find more people who are willing to help each other out, because it's bad for one person, but it's just generally bad, I think, for people to have to live like that.
Yeah, man. I don't know what the ecosystem's like on Podbean. I've seen a couple of people putting up premium podcasts, but I don't know how many subscribers they've got or what the conversion rates are or anything like that. So I don't know whether it'll work until I test it. But
Yeah,
I was pricing it at the way they were doing it, but at the moment I've just changed the pricing, so it's literally like the equivalent of $10,
hmm.
which should get people interested enough to just try it. But then you don't know; people might not be used to doing that on Podbean. It might be a psychological barrier people have got to get over. So all you can do is test it. All I can do is test it and see what happens.
Yeah. I keep looking for different ways as well. I like Podbean a lot, but I don't have a good feeling about in the sense in sense of as an economic thing. I'm not sure about it. I think it's a nice way to attract people, and then at a certain point, if you get a real following, I think there should be a better platform where people can donate or something. But that's my feeling. I don't know. I haven't tested
Well,
it myself.
I've tested Podomatic and I've tested Spreaker
Hmm.
and Podbean. Those are the three that I was testing, and Podbean comes out way ahead in terms
Okay.
of generating an audience. It's a huge difference. Huge. I mean, I think I got two people on Podomatic and two people on Spreaker in the same time it took me to get 35 on Podbean.
All right. Yeah. But the strange thing is with the live shows, you can see people enter the room, but then you cannot see them leaving. You can only what you can check is how many people are still live. So in that
Yeah,
sense, you can see if there's still people, yes or no. But sometimes I'm talking to people, I don't know, and I get no reaction. I think, oh, they must have left then.
yeah, it's still a little bit clunky. The interface is a little bit clunky, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it takes time. It's still the rest of it is pretty good. People can chat. It depends on what you do. For me, because I do my articles and I do them on different sort of windows. I do not always see what's happening in the chats, and then yeah, sometimes I'm a bit late with it, and I try to change it a bit. And I would like to do also a little bit more discussion, but it depends. It would be nice maybe to discuss the articles or to hear people's ideas, how we can change things, something like this.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to do when there's enough people coming in is just do a round table discussion.
Yeah, that is always good. And I
But
also had the idea. I was sending a message to Eric, like maybe we can, because there's many good shows coming one after the other. So like maybe we can get that group together where everyone gets a different slot. So we have like 4 or 5 good shows in a row, and if you can do that almost daily, you can maybe also gather a bigger audience for all the shows, and then everybody is free to do what they want. We don't have to criticize each other. We don't have to necessarily agree, but it would be good if we have one group of people doing like from afternoon to evening, one after the other a show or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've found if I do my show at 2 o'clock or 2:30, I get more people coming in simply because the states are starting to wake up at that point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not always, by the way. I did one last time very late. At least for my time, I like to do it 12 o'clock here noon or 1 or 11 in the morning. But I did one at I think 4 o'clock, and I think the first 45 minutes was nobody. Like, okay. I mean, I rely more on the people who like to listen to the download, but so it's very strange. Sometimes it's very busy, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes in the morning can be crowded too. So I don't know yet. But the thing with the States is true, yeah, of course. Then generally there's more people coming in at that time.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get some kind of round table going at some point when I've got a few more followers and a few more regular people coming in. I'll set something up and invite you.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, now because now finally, but now I'm working again since a week, and it's a bit because it's a job at different times also. So this week I'll start from the morning till the afternoon, and then sometimes I have some shifts till late at night. So it's a bit hard to get a, but I still have time enough sometimes in the morning to do a show or in the evening, so I can still do it. But it's just a different setup. If you have the whole day to yourself, usually I just woke up, have some coffee, and then starting to find out the material I would like to do, and then I can do it. But now I have to do it in between everything, so
Yeah,
it's
no,
still possible.
I know that feeling. I was doing that for a while when I was working. I've been doing a live show, a live radio show on Saturdays on a place called Revolution Radio, which is an American kind of libertarian based platform. And I was working and doing that on a Saturday, so I had Friday afternoon to prep it, and then Saturday kind of daytime I was doing my cleaning and my bits and pieces that I needed to get done, and then just go live. And most of the time I would just do something off the top of my head or something I'd been watching half an hour before, because if you prep too early, something else is going to come in between.
Yeah, yeah. Just it's just nice if you have time, and I was getting so used to it, so I'm going to check. I can also work 3 days, except then the money will be not that great. So I'm trying to find an extra source of money because 5 days is just too much. I don't want to work that many days. I like my freedom, and I'd rather have a little bit less money and a little bit more freedom than to work hard to make somebody else rich, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And when I go back, I'll go back part time. Because I was working 30, 35, 36 hours a week, and it's too much in telesales because you burn out. Well, I do anyway.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's. I mean, okay, they changed it now. What is it? It's now what is a normal work week? 36 hours or something, I believe here, something like this.
Yeah,
Um,
it used to be I could do 30 and it was counted as a full time job, but now it's 35 or 36. Yeah.
so it depends on what you do and in which sector you are. Of course, you can make good money in certain sectors. I'm just working. The bar work is not paid that great, but it's fun. You socialize a lot, and I'm only lucky that the owners who are rich, they're really cool guys. I mean, they listen to you, they talk to you. If you have a great idea, they say, "Okay, great idea, let's do it." So that's something interesting. So maybe I was thinking maybe I can find some sponsorship through them after a certain while. But um, anyway, yeah, I've also done all kinds of jobs early in the morning, getting up, or late at night. It's just I'm tired of it. I just want my freedom. So yeah,
Yeah, I thought at one point I might be able to get some sponsorship out of the home improvements company I was working for, well, it never materialised. I suggested it, and they kind of went along with it as a jokey thing, but it never. Because they sponsor one of the local football teams, so they do sponsorships, but for what I'm doing on here, it's not worth their while because it's a company that's based in the north of England, so I would have to do something that was focused on the north of England, and it's not really the way the show format works out.
Yeah, that's of course the thing. When somebody sponsors you, they have to be behind what you're doing, and yeah, I think in terms of what I'm doing, there's not that's still the absolute minority who is into that. So yeah, that's hard to get there. Then you need your followers to sponsor you, but I also don't want to bother those people because I think most people by now will getting a hard time financially.
Well, I still think there's money around, but it's just a matter of, is there money around? Is it the kind of environment that'll sustain a premium rate podcast? So I'm going to find out over the next year anyway. For a year, and I'll test it and see by different pricing points and see how much. I don't want to have to do too much marketing in the podcasting that I'm doing because it's from the ideas that I'm talking about. But I might have to do something, just remind people that the other one's there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it is important also that marketing, but it's also not really my thing. But it does help a little bit to remind people to if they can support a bit. But the most important thing is the fan base, the people who really like it, and then it spreads around. I think that helps.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's going to ultimately be the people who are active supporting other people who are active on here. That's the ecosystem. So that's the only way that it'll work really. But it is a very supportive platform from what I've seen of it. I mean, the people are fantastic on here.
Yeah, and I'm quite surprised because they don't do a lot of censorship. I mean, you can pretty much say still what you want to say. So that is kind of interesting. Because
Yeah, I
you
mean,
go on YouTube or something, or Facebook, you can forget about it. I mean, I think I think I wasn't on YouTube, but somebody must have posted something of me on YouTube. And directly I got an email saying, you can't talk about this. A whole list. I couldn't talk about vaccines. I couldn't talk about the cure or other options to help with Corona. And I couldn't, there were like 20 things. And why I was not allowed to be on YouTube with what information I had.
yeah, I'm on a 24-hour ban from Facebook at the moment for posting something, and I don't know what it was I posted, but it's just one of like the usual things. It's the vaccine virus kind of connection. As soon as you mention ivermectin, you get a ban.
Yeah, that should say enough. It's so obvious by now. I mean, why, if you really care about health, why would you ban something that clearly works?
No, there's clearly there's an agenda there. There's an agreement between the big media companies and the big pharmaceutical companies to
Yeah,
just push vaccines, but obviously we'll resist that in whatever ways we do. Everybody's got their own way. I'm
yeah,
pretty
but
much shadow banned on Facebook now. Anyway, I get one or two comments every now and again, and I've got 1,000 people in my friends list. So it's like obviously the stuff that I'm posting isn't being passed around at all. People aren't seeing it because they would comment normally.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, but that I mean, I just say that because a lot of people they have a hard time believing like, but it's not possible. How can it? And everybody is involved in this plot, the whole media, the whole. Yeah, but it's not from yesterday. This has been going on for a long time.
It's a
And
set of assumptions, it's a set of philosophical assumptions that they share. That the media groups share a certain set of assumptions. The pharmaceutical companies share a certain set of assumptions, and there's overlap. There's overlap with members on from the media companies. They share board members with the pharmaceutical companies. So the agendas kind of share the people on the board of directors or whatever. and it becomes a closed loop. They're not hearing anything else other than their assumptions, which is difficult to break through. But we'll do it. We'll get there.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why all the censorship is there, because they know, this thing is gonna be unstoppable at the end. But for now, to explain that situation that people have a hard time believing, that how is that possible? Well, if you see, I think George Carlin talked about it, David Icke talked about it. It has to do also with the concentration of power. It's the last 15 years, I think maybe 20, it has become so big that the few can control the many so easily. And if you understand that, then you can understand a little bit how it is possible that the whole media and a lot of others involved in it are complicit in that whole scheme.
Yeah, it is literally all about who's overlapping on the board of directors. So you got people from the pharmaceutical companies moving into the health regulators to that system, and then moving back into pharmaceuticals, and then they're overlapping with media. So it's the same group of people in all of those places.
Yeah, and that is going on for a long time. Only now it becomes visible, and it has to become visible in order to get rid of it. But I mean, it becomes quite obvious at this point if you really pay a little attention. Like, I mean, it's always the same people, and television programs, they're all scripted. It's nothing is really even if it's supposed to be live, it's not really live. I mean, if you say the wrong thing, they would quickly talk over you. But most of the times, also here on Dutch TV, I don't even watch it anymore, because you can't really get a point across. They're all talking the same thing. It's all basically scripted. There's no real discussion going on, different opinions. So it's like, yeah, how do you really get some info?
Yeah, you've just got to go around the outside. The BBC I think have had MI5 in there telling them what to say for the last year and a half or 2 years at least. It becomes clear that people are just reading from an approved version.
Yeah, the BBC seems to be one of the worst. I mean, what I've gathered from it, and I listened a bit to John Cleese, how they talked when they started back in their days, and how they basically had the freedom to do almost anything they wanted to do. And if you look at it now, you think, well, this is so it's anti-white, often of the time. Even Monty Python got criticized for that. Uh, uh, it's a complete promotion tool. The whole seems like BBC is becoming.
Yeah, it's limiting people's creativity, limiting people's freedom to a very narrow range. So I haven't had a TV for 5 or 6 years, and I'm not planning on getting one. But I do watch a little bit of stuff online here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a. Now I have actually a projector, but um, I used to have a TV, because not I was watching the television, but to play DVDs, or to connect my computer to it so I can watch things through YouTube on a bigger screen. So that was what I was using it for. So it's still a good medium to see, but generally when I'm with other people sometimes and they have the television on, I can't stand it very long, because I immediately get triggered with all the bullshit they say, or the commercials on television. And it's the same with the movies. I cannot almost not go to the movies anymore. They made it all political, and if you know what they're doing, it's not fun to watch anymore.
Yeah, I've got a limited range of places I go. Netflix even knows it there. I was watching Stranger Things a little while ago, February, March time. I watched all 3 seasons of Stranger Things, and there's so much Coca-Cola promotion going on in there. It's obvious. It's just like that. There's no Pepsi anywhere to be seen. There's no other brand of soft drink anywhere to be seen except Coca-Cola. The entire series.
Yeah, that I find the least offensive thing. I can understand, because like here, the Dutch Heineken, they're also big in Hollywood. You see them a lot of times in movies, or But that I can on a certain level I can understand that. I mean, you got a huge audience if you're in a Hollywood movie, but it's more the political thing that uh, I don't like. That what they push all these uh, political agendas that they're pushing also in the movies. The whole LGBTQ agenda and all this. A lot of anti-whiteness is in the movies. Every year, I checked. Every year, almost there's 5 movies about the Germans coming out. How evil the Nazis are. Like, but do you have to do that? 5 movies each year? That those things really bother me. I think, yeah, why, man? There's so much. There's so much other stories you could tell. So
Yeah, I mean the football replays like that. England v Germany turns into a replay of the Second World War every time. It's like people are reliving the trauma of it through the football to try and process it.
yeah, I mean, I mean, at a certain point you have to off or leave it behind you, or get some real closure or interest in it, and that's why revisionism is so interesting to listen to different stories you never hear, because it's always the same story. It gets really tiring. Always the same story. Yeah, we know that story by now, but I want to know the other stories. What else happened? What else was going on? And and if you do it like David Irving did in his books, yeah, you've been hunted for the rest of your life, because he wrote some really good books. And he did some real research. If you look at him, he went straight to the source. He went to these people, he interviewed these people, he went to all kinds of sources in libraries. And he says that many researchers just copy one another.
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of that amongst people who are just referring back to the previous opinion, really. And once you've got an approved set of opinions or an approved set of research sources, then nobody goes outside of it. It's just a matter of recycling it. It's the same with everything, though. Music's the same. People recycle the Doors and the Stones endlessly, but it's a slightly different variation, but it's basically the same stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's all coming to an end basically. That's how I see it. I mean, I love music, but yeah, it's basically dead. That industry is dead. The movie industry is also lacks a lot of creativity. Um, and yeah, all these things they're just at their end. I think the football also. I loved it, but for me, yeah, it's now only about money, and yeah, that's also for me. It's the end. It was fun, but yeah, there can still be good football matches, but um, yeah, I think the fun is out of it. It's just become overtaken by big money, and yeah, nobody has patience anymore. You used to play for a team 5 6 years, then you moved abroad to become a bit better, and now it's oh, you're good in one season, you're bought and you play somewhere, you get a lot of money, and I don't know. I feel like it's ruined.
Yeah, I mean, there's still Sunday League. There's still I know people who play in Sunday leagues, and they're all fit. They've got a regular Sunday routine, so they're training maybe once or twice a week as well. And that's the level of football that's the important bit. It's the grassroots bit.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
I think it probably is coming on blockchain saying England's going to win, and I think we might if we play as well as we played in the last game. I know it was Ukraine, but 4 goals is still a good way to win a game. It's possible. I'm not sure how likely it is, but it's possible. Um, I'm not getting hugely involved in it, but I did go to the pub and watch it, and it's fun because it's just people chanting and shouting at the TV screen, and it's all people just having a good time, knowing that we're likely to lose in the end, but they're loving every second of it. And I think I'm at the point where I just want to have a bit of fun. I'm serious a lot of the time, and I tend to be too serious some of the time. So I need to have a break and have a bit of fun, and the football's
Yeah,
doing that for me at the moment.
no, it's true. Yeah, I also have that sometimes. And if you have no partner or something, you often get stuck a little bit in being too serious. And That's the part I do love. Going to the pub, watching the football. That I always loved. Having a drink, talking to people, and feeling the excitement. And yeah, and of course here in Amsterdam, you have a lot of tourists, especially from Britain. And there was always sometimes used to go alone, and you always ended up chatting. They offer you a pint or something, and you talked about the football, and or there was a group of girls, like English girls. They were sitting and dancing and singing, and there was always something happening here. But now, obviously, now it's all dead for a long time. But I always had fun. It was nice. I mean, watching the game, and there's lots of great pubs here, and always busy. And yeah, I can understand. That's good to have that sense of getting out of being too serious and a little bit back to normal level, communicating with people and having fun.
Yeah, I mean where I live is the centre of Newcastle, so there's a biomedical centre at the end of the street, which is like a big university-run research place. But downstairs, it's built around a square, Times Square you call it, and there's a two bars in the square itself, but then there's a temporary football bar, like a sports bar, outside in the square, which is just set up for the Euros. So it's absolutely heaving with people, and I mean the noise level's gone ridiculous. But it's temporary, so I'll live with it. Uh, if they try and do it temporary 12 months of the year, I'll not live with it, but I don't mind a couple of months of the year during the summer. Um, yeah, so there's that. There's always a conversation to be had going through the square.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, because the English are different from the Dutch. I mean, I'm working now. It's funny. I'm working now not far from my house. There's this bowling place, and they have all kinds of. That's where I'm working now. They have bowling, they have laser games, and they have mini golf. But in the daytime, usually in the weekends, you have a lot of children groups, and there was this group, and I heard, hey, this is English, but they were from the international school here in Amsterdam, and you could already see because they usually have a bit more of sense of a humor. And when they were putting their names in, they were all putting silly names in there, and even when the young guy said, I said, hey, but that's 4. Who's number 5? And he turned around, yeah, that's that ugly man over there. It's my father. I thought, oh, that's so, Dutch people don't say those things usually. So it's like funny to see the difference. And also, I noticed here many times when I was talking to them, they're always a lot louder and screaming and chanting. And the Dutch do it with the football also, but a little bit different. But you can always recognize quite quickly when they're in town. And of course, you have also the disadvantage that there's a little bit more aggression. But generally, I always like it with the Brits or the Irish people they're coming here. It's usually good fun.
Yeah, I've been to Amsterdam a couple of times, but it's 30 years ago. Um, I went with a friend of mine. Used to go over about every three or 4 months. He'd go for the weekend, so I went over a couple of times with him. I remember sitting in Vondel Park watching bees. That's my main memories of like blazing hot sunshine. It was about 30 degrees, and these bees were remarkable.
Yeah, the Vondelpark is still there. It's they constantly try to they work on it a little bit to make it look attractive, and it's actually close to the Leidse Square, one of the main squares where a lot of bars are and people are hanging and drinking, and yeah, a lot of place to eat. All these little tourist bars, and yeah, so those are very tightly connected. A lot of things change, obviously, but some things stay the same as well. But now they make these stupid rules that tourists cannot go to the coffee shops anymore. Well, that is like the main income.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to tell? I mean, obviously, if they're speaking English, they're speaking English, but they may not be a tourist. Have you got to ask them when they go in?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't work there, but um, yeah, I suppose maybe you have to show your ID or something. I don't know
Yeah, it could be.
how it's going. But they're protesting against it, of course, because it's it's a huge income loss. I mean, I used to go to the coffee shops here around my house, but yeah, just me and a few other locals coming. Because when the height of the Corona crisis, I asked them, I said, "How's the business going?" Yeah, bad. I mean, just a few locals that come, and that's not enough. But yeah, some
I can
have,
tell
of
you,
course, more money.
I can tell you exactly when the last time I was in Amsterdam. So I've just remembered. I don't know the year, but Pink Floyd album called "The Division Bell" had just come out because I
Hmm.
remember listening to it while I was in Amsterdam. So that's got
Yeah,
to be
maybe.
what? That's got to be 1990 or something. It's a long
Hmm.
time ago, anyway, 30 years ago.
Yeah, what I gathered, I mean, I was too young, but what I gathered, the 70s and the 80s was really, Amsterdam was really a place really totally free. You could almost do anything. Nobody would bother you. They changed a few years ago the squatting rules, sadly, because if a house was empty one year, you could squat it and they couldn't really bother you, but they all changed that. It was really very liberal, very open, and even I always remember the quote from Chet Baker, the famous American jazz musician who died in Amsterdam. But he said, "It looks in Amsterdam like it's weekend every day." This was in the 80s.
Yeah, Newcastle's pretty much like that. There's a lot of overlap. I think partly because of there's a direct ferry, which
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think that's part of it. The culture's very similar. I think between Newcastle and Amsterdam.
yeah. I'm not sure. Does Newcastle doesn't really have the appeal of Amsterdam? I think in terms of tourism.
It's getting there slowly, though. I mean, it's built up a lot. There's a lot of stag parties and a lot of hen parties come in, but they tend to dominate the weekends, and then it's quieter during the week. But there's enough to do in Newcastle for tourists. Really, they're trying to make it an exhibition centre. I think it's a big exhibition centre going to like arena, a new arena they're building, or they're going to build on the south side of the river. But they're doing it for 13,500 people, and the international acts are going to need at least 15,000. They don't do arenas that are less than 15,000, so already they've shot themselves in the foot by making it too small for the international acts that are coming over from the States. They're
Hmm.
looking for 15 or 20,000 people, so it'll end up being the same old people coming. It'll be, I think Rod Stewart attempted to play there last year or the year before, and he sold 500 tickets, and it's a 13,000 capacity arena.
Whoa,
So
that's a bit
the
embarrassing.
so the gig got cancelled in the end. But it's like all of these things. Elton John, Rod Stewart. It's all the 70-year-olds are playing there. And what we actually need is like people coming in from the States who are doing 5 or 6 gigs in the UK, because there's nothing between Manchester and Edinburgh. But we could be that gig between Manchester and Edinburgh, but it's just not, the capacity's not big enough by about 1,500 people, so it gets left out.
Yeah, but I learned from studying tour dates because I was a big Queen fan. But they used to play in the football stadium there, concerts in Newcastle, right?
Yeah, St James's Park. Yeah, there's still gigs going on there. There's got St James's Park. There was at one point gigs happening at Stadium of Light in Sunderland as well. So you've got two big 60,000 seater stadiums within like half an hour's drive of each other. So there's potential for a lot of gigs during the summer, but nothing in the winter really.
Yeah, and but I think also Newcastle got upgraded a lot, right? Because most of those old industrial towns are really had a very poor look to them. But I think what I kind of gathered that Newcastle got a lot upgraded since the 90s, if I'm correct.
Yeah, the Quayside did. The Quayside's moved up a lot. There's big art centre and big music place down there.
It's also different going out. I was in Liverpool twice, and you go out and you see at night, 3 o'clock at night, those girls drunk and taking their shoes off, and like, whoa! I've seen some crazy things in Amsterdam, but this was like another. And also, I found it a little bit more. In some places, was a little bit more. You sense a bit more aggression in bars. I never feel that so much here in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's British culture for you. Everybody's got a bit of repressed aggression going on.
Yeah, that I noticed. But apart from that, there were also a lot of cool, nice people and a lot of cool places to visit. And so yeah, generally it's nice. It's just it's just older than here. Everything is still needs a little bit of a make. Not everything, but yeah, it looks kind of some of those old, how you say, areas. Yeah, they look really like shit, man. It doesn't fit like the times anymore. It's like you go back so long. Of course, Amsterdam is also an old city, but it constantly is upgraded.
Yeah, I
You're
think I,
moving
I
with the times.
remember last time when I was there in the early 90s or whatever it was. I remember wandering around the ring road for hours. When I got out of the city centre onto the ring road, and I couldn't work out how to get back into the city centre again.
Oh yeah, that's so difficult. Yeah, if you get that far out, yeah. But the city is all built around the canals basically, so it's a bit confusing if you don't know it. Because I know exactly where I am, but it's not it's not like what they did correctly in the United States, for instance, where they build cities very logical, that you always know where you are. But here it's really built around the canals, and then of course where I live, so this is all basically the rich part, the first canal, and then the second canal, and the third, and then you have around it you have all the shoppings and the restaurants, and then you have the boroughs, so to speak, out there, different ones in Amsterdam East and West, and north side of Amsterdam is on the other side of the city, basically. Apart from Central, on the other side of Central Station, it's a whole different area. And then you have Amsterdam, south part of the city is also mainly an area for well-to-do people, but that's more outside the center.
Right. Okay, I'm going to have to close this down, Freedom Warrior, because I've got a meeting in about 10 minutes, actually about 5 minutes now.
Don't worry. I'm also got to go on. I got to do some other things also.
All right. I'll probably be on about the same time tomorrow, I would imagine.
All right, cool. Well, I'll have time tomorrow too, so I'll see you, and then we can have another chat.
All right, man.
Well, I finally made it, so it's nice to talk.
Yeah, we get there in the end. It doesn't. It's been waiting to happen for a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good, I mean, if you stick with it, and I saw you also show up at my shows a couple of times. Okay, I have to make a real effort now.
Yeah, it'll all get there. All right, I'm going to wrap this up, so I'll see you tomorrow, maybe.
All right, man.
Cheers, man.
See you later.